Hey, everybody. So, have you ever realized that your needs were consistently placed ahead of your partner's? Maybe you're going through your recovery and you're like, wow, I had some needs there, but my partner came last and mine came first. And maybe I'm becoming more aware of that. Or maybe your partner's tried telling you that your needs got put ahead of theirs and you are maybe even kind of confused about that. Maybe like, I hear what she's trying to say to me, but it doesn't completely make sense to me. I think I've actually tried to put her needs first, but she's talking about it. And maybe this entitlement word came up. And entitlement does not always sound like I deserve more than you. Sometimes it sounds like my needs should make sense to you. So Scott's going to help us provide some clarity on this entitlement piece today, and I'm excited to have him a part of it. So anyway, looking forward to talking about it. Welcome to Beyond the Facade. I'm your host, Luke Gordon, Men's Program Director at Choose Recovery Services and founder of the Blueprint Institute. For years, I've had the privilege of working with men who are tired of living behind masks, tired of repeating the same patterns, and ready for something more. It's work that's deeply personal to me because my own recovery journey has taught me firsthand both the challenges and the rewards of pursuing authenticity. This podcast exists to help men build lives rooted in authenticity, integrity, and meaningful connection. Together, we're going to explore recovery, relationships, emotional health, and personal growth, and the challenges that keep us from becoming who we truly want to be. Through honest conversations, practical tools, and real-world insights, and occasional stories from my own journey, my goal is to help you better understand yourself, strengthen your relationships, and create lasting change. So whether this is your first episode or you've been with us from the very beginning, you're joining a community of men committed to doing the deeper work. So welcome to Beyond the Facade. Let's get started. Okay. All right, everybody, let me introduce you to Scott. So Scott's actually been around Choose Recovery Services for a bit now. I think you joined the team back in January. I'll tell you what I want you to know about Scott. Scott gets it. He understands recovery. We are very blessed to have him here. He has his own journey with sexually compulsive behavior and just compulsive behavior in general. And so he comes from a lane of, I've been there, I've hurt my wife, I've hurt myself, and he's got the training. You can take a look at the website. You can see the many different things. In fact, you want to share that with us, Scott, that'd be great. But excited to have you here today. Scott, what do you want to say about yourself?
Man, just really good to be here, Luke. I think what I want to share, so I can share, yeah. So I'm going through AppSats and disclosure guide and all the things for this to do this work. And entitlement, I don't know if it was the hardest pill for me to swallow, but it was right up there. Went right up there with emotional abuse. And I remember the first time my coach said, "Well, Scott, that's just entitlement." It landed so hard. I did not want to be an entitled person. And the more I dug into it, the more I realized this is me. I have done this. And I could see it relationally. I could see how I became entitled and I didn't like it. And I think we have to own it.
Did you know what the entitlement was? Did you heard about the word, spending time with the
You know,
word?
I just had a yucky feeling. I think at the time it meant that I thought I was better than other people.
Okay.
I think that's how it landed with me originally. And I didn't like that.
Yeah. So the word sounded gross. You didn't really know what
Yeah.
it was. It's not something you wanted to have resonate with you. So sounds like you were digging into it, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we find is being really simple here is that our needs, wants, and desires are really important to us. And they're so important. There's a deserving quality to this. So we feel as though we deserve our needs, wants, and desires to be met, regardless to the impact to others and regardless to contracts that we may have. So let me say that more simply.
Okay.
We deserve our needs, wants, and desires, and we don't care the impact to our partners or things like marital contracts. That's how important it is that our
Okay.
needs get met.
Hey, Scott, I'm gonna just throw a caveat out there, big asterisk, that if you find yourself for the betraying partners, the person that hurt their partner, find yourself wanting to get over in that other person's lane by like, hey, what about What about them? Just notice that, notice what comes up for you. And I'm going to draw you back to notice where entitlement exists for you. Because I was going to share a definition before you get started with what you're passionate about here, Scott. Entitlement is the belief that because I feel something strongly, somebody else is responsible for relieving it. Or entitlement is the expectation that expecting others to meet the needs that ultimately are my responsibility to manage. So you can think of, especially from a family of origin experience, how my mom and dad interacted with each other and what I observed. Entitlement can come heavy from this. So you kind of have to destroy everything and rebuild it to really understand what healthy looks like inside of a relationship where entitlement used to exist, especially if you weren't aware of it.
A- Absolutely. And I'll put the caveat out there, Luke, if you haven't seen this before, if you haven't let yourself accept this piece, and let's face it, anybody that's had problematic sexual behaviors has put their needs above somebody else. We have. So if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have experienced this. And when you can really see it, it doesn't feel good. None of us wanted when we were born to put our needs above other people.
Okay. Let's just do really simple terms. How did I, Scott? How did I put my needs in front of somebody else if I've acted out?
Yeah, lots of ways, right? We can think about so we talk about what's the childhood formation process that creates an entitled adult. So one's the really simple one, right? You've got kind of the only child, or maybe the silver spoon child, where their needs, wants, and desires were always met. So they grow up into adulthood with the expectation that my needs, wants, and desires will be met. And and for me, I was the golden child. So my parents tended to build their identity around my performance. And so I internalized that to mean I matter more.
Said so beautifully. Keep going. Like, I love
Awful,
that.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Like to grow up with the belief I matter more. And so that was so hard to sit with. It's not who I wanted to be, and I have to own it.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm like, that's so beautiful. And you're like, what did you say?
No.
You're like, no, it's not. And I'm thinking about it more from knowing what a guy has to go through to understand, to act, to break patterns, and for you to understand like just that your job was to perform. It was
Yeah.
to, and that your parents, they got something out of that. So you had
Yeah.
pressure and
Yeah,
that.
and we get to this space of so many of the men I work with, they don't want to see this. I don't want to blame. And I am not blaming my parents. My parents were being parents. They were good parents. And because of my perceptions as a child, I felt like I needed to perform, right?
Yeah.
So then we can go to the other side of things. And it's when needs, wants, and desires were not met, right? And so,
Can I ask you a question?
yeah,
Can you walk us through a moment when you felt the pressure to perform?
always,
Yeah.
just always.
As a child, though, younger in youth, what was your
Oh, for
identity
sure.
around this?
Sports, standing on the pitcher's mound with the belief that in a 6 inning game, I didn't strike out 18 people, that I wasn't good enough.
And
Yeah.
what happened if you didn't perform inside of you?
Inside of me, oh my God, I would be heartbroken. Absolutely heartbroken. I'd be in tears. My personal bar was so high. It's how I thought I got love. That's what I
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
sure.
All right.
Sure.
I was gonna ask, how's that different than anybody else that's on a pitcher's mound that wants to do a good job, right? And
Yeah,
wins.
I think this goes back. My story is abandonment of a biological father. So as I trace my history back, I think I was forever wanting to not be left. And so 18 strikeouts would be better than 17.
Mm.
A constant drive to not be left.
Yeah, I don't know if we can completely tie it in together today, y'all, for just lack of time, but we could go into a place that Scott wants to go to. But when you said the word love connected with you being on the pitcher's mound,
Sure.
if I didn't perform a certain way, love was at risk here.
Yeah.
And if y'all, if that's a hard connection to make, I get it. I get it. But just recognizing patterns are the way that we act today has everything to do with what was on the line and to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks, Luke. And I want to go back. So how it gets to us as a child is an overindulgence, right? All my needs are being met, or a deprivation. My needs were not met as a child. So that's painful to the child. So the child learns the only way my needs are going to be met is if I meet them. And so they grow up being entitled because they know if their needs are going to be met, they have to do it.
Where was the deprivation?
The deprivation is if a child is growing up without their needs being met.
Sorry, what was your deprivation?
Oh, mine? None. I didn't have any.
So there was no deprivation for you.
I don't think so.
It was
You know,
over. It was, yeah. Right.
Probably potentially emotional connection with my dad, I would imagine. I think most of mine was the overindulgence piece. Yeah.
Instead of too little, it was too much.
Yeah. And when we get into that too much, there's usually little boundaries. There's little, so a child doesn't learn frustration tolerance. They're not told no. Their mistakes are sort of whitewashed. So they don't learn that frustration tolerance.
Yeah. And I just think about a child that wants something, right? What's the proper amount of time spent in that emotion, the what do I want versus getting it immediately or not getting it all, right?
Sure.
And the time that's spent with a parent in that emotion. It matters. It matters.
Yeah. So there's really a number of ways that we can get to this space where as adults, it feels like we often don't notice it because it operates in the subconscious, which is why entitlement is so difficult to get a hold of. And it can be really permissive, right? So as I say these words, I deserve this, whether it's looking at pornography because I work really hard. I deserve to masturbate because my wife's not as sexual as me. There's all these permissive places that we're giving ourselves to get our needs met.
Did you ever, I know you and I align on stuff, but I'm going to challenge here in a second for the skeptic on listening to this podcast. I don't think I ever, let's say, I don't think I ever looked at porn because I don't think I ever gave myself permission or felt entitled enough to look at porn. I'm trying to grasp the word you just said with that. What do you think about the guy saying that? I don't feel like I was doing it because I felt entitled to do it.
I would push back and say may need to dig a little bit deeper, right? Because we are pushing through. I imagine that none of us wanted to hurt our partners, did not want to live this secret life. And so when we're operating with entitlement, right? Entitlement is really subconscious. We're not noticing it, but it also disables empathy, which makes sense. We're doing something that if we really dig in and think about it, we know we're hurting someone else. And so empathy has to be disabled for us to keep moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the empathy being disabled, it's a beautiful way to say that, Scott, because what I have to do to look at pornography to go to that type of action is I have to go to walk down this pathway that allows me to be able to look at porn and I have to numb myself out. And part of that numbing is disabling the empathy. What does my partner think about? What do they care about? How does this impact them? How does it affect them?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when I first started feeling this, you used a great term, which was icky. And that's exactly how it made me feel. It felt selfish. It felt like absolute moral failure. I felt like a failure. And what we have to realize is entitlement is not a character flaw, it's a survival strategy. It is a survival strategy. For many whose needs were not met as a child, they make their needs a primary importance. It's how they survived. And for those that were on the indulgent side, the overindulgent side, it's what they knew. Again, these are survival strategies. So I would invite people listening to this to recognize this is something that needs to be worked on. We need to be really careful of falling into shame around this piece and recognize it is a survival strategy. We have to see it. We have to change the way we behave, but it's not helpful to sit in the shame of I am a moral failure or I am selfish.
So let's have those sit right next to each other. Entitlement is a survival strategy, and define entitlement again, Scott. Let's have those sit right next to each other.
Yeah. So entitlement is that our needs, wants, and desires take a priority, and we deserve our needs, wants. There's a feeling of deserving that our needs, wants, and desires be met.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Luke, how do you imagine a partner would feel living with someone who meets their needs without regard to their own?
Who meets their needs
Yeah. So
without regard to their
the
own?
betrayer is meeting their needs
Mhm.
without regard to the betrayed partner. How does that make them feel?
Used.
Yeah.
Used. Yeah, that's the first word that comes to my mind is forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just hang with the used part,
Yeah. Can I do a little exercise with you?
please.
Yeah. So I want you to imagine your high school theater. Can you picture it in your mind?
Definitely didn't happen for me because
That's
of
okay.
skill sets, but yeah, I'll go there.
Yeah, me neither, but you can picture it.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm just going to pretend that you're a client for the moment. And so you and your partner are doing kind of a two-person play.
Okay.
And so you both get the scripts. And because it's a two-person play of your life, you imagine that there's the same number of lines for each person, right? And so scene one begins, and you're both center stage, and you got the lights coming down on you, and it's your dating life. And so scene one goes great. You have the same number of lines, everything's going great. Scene two comes along, you both look down at your script, same sort of thing happens. Maybe this is early marriage, and same deal, same number of lines, everything's back and forth. And then scene three starts, and she looks down at her script and it says, stand stage left. And so she goes over and stands stage left, and there you are in the middle, bright spotlight coming down on top of you. And so stage or scene three starts, and it's all about you. And you're working, and maybe you're playing with kids, and you're also using pornography and masturbating, and maybe there's an affair partner, or maybe there's a strip club or something. But there's your wife just watching. She's become a prop for scene three. She's just a prop. And so for the men that I work with, it's so important. What I hear from partners is they feel in this part of their life, the problematic sexual behaviors, they feel minimized, used, you're right, invisible, rejected. And so we have to recognize that that's the way we made them feel. And it's really hard to see our lives in that way. And yet we can't truly understand the partner experience until we actually feel it.
We're going to take a quick break for a moment. I want to let you know of some things that we have coming up at Choose Your Recovery Services.
Men, can I ask you a question? Have you ever found yourself thinking, I know why I do this, so why do I keep ending up in the same place? I'm Hallie Roderick, and I've had the privilege of sitting with many men in this healing space over the years. And one thing I've learned is this, that insight is important, but insight alone doesn't create transformation. You can understand your story, you can recognize your patterns, and still find yourself feeling stuck. And that's exactly why we created the Awakening the Man Within Somatic Intensive. It'll be held November 8th through the 11th in Spanish Fork, Utah. And this isn't just another weekend of lectures. It's an opportunity to reconnect with your body, your emotions, your nervous system, and ultimately the man you've always been underneath the pain, the shame, and survival strategies. If you're tired of simply surviving and you're ready to experience healing on a deeper level, I'd love to personally invite you to join us. Sometimes your next breakthrough isn't found by learning more, it's found by experiencing something different. So you can learn more or apply at chooserecoveryservices.com and check the show notes for a link. I hope to see you in November.
Let's get back to our episode. Well, I think about partners saying that are going through a full disclosure and going like, I thought I knew what reality was, but I didn't actually know. And all of a sudden, I don't know if this is right to say or not, Scott, but realizing they were like a more of a prop. They weren't center stage.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like everything that comes with that of like the grief associated with that, thinking that they knew what the play was, but they didn't. Sorry, not trying to change your analogy at all, just or add to
No,
it, but
no worries. No, I think it's great. And here's what's interesting in this recovery, Luke. Partners know what they feel. They know they felt invisible. They know they felt rejected or minimized, whatever that word is for them. And the only way we can have true ownership is to say it. To be able to actually sit next to our partner and say, I'm so sorry, and I recognize I made you feel invisible. Partners know that that's the way they felt. They don't know that the betrayer knows it.
well, can I play with your analogy some? Is that okay?
Sure, you got it.
Did I want my partner to have an equal part in the play? Or did I want to have the whole thing do I think the play exists for me? Or am I ready to have somebody that's equal in this, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. The duplicity that exists in my world was insane. I was like, yeah, I want a partner. I want a partner that I can live this life with. But how quickly was I focused on it just being what I needed, the play that I needed to exist? I needed to be,
absolutely.
I wouldn't say the star because that doesn't really fit for me. I don't really want to be the
Yeah,
star of a play, but I really needed the play to revolve around me. It's probably why the movie with Jim Carrey, The Truman Show, means so much. Is because I was used to the focus and I get distracted with that. That's an amazing analogy, Scott. Thank
I
you.
got it. And the play that's described is not the play that was agreed upon in marriage, right? And so all of a sudden in this part, this is not saying the whole relationship didn't matter. It's saying in this part of the relationship, which is why we do disclosure, there are two different truths, right? She's got a whole different script than you have,
Mm,
completely different. And that's why we do disclosure, so that we can understand, so that we can align the scripts with each other.
mm. Yeah. Maybe make Act 4 a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to understand ownership, really ownership. And when we move forward in healing, ownership is such a big deal. And when we have defensiveness, when we have avoidance, this is the betrayer placing the center of his world on his comfort rather than taking the ownership, right? It's so painful for the betrayer that again, it becomes all about us. We're again putting our needs ahead of our partners. So it just shows up all over the place, right? Even if it's to expecting forgiveness or defining certain timelines. I've done all the work and my partner should now be catching up to me. She should be forgiving me. I'm doing all the work, so our relationship should be getting better. This is still all entitlement. This is my needs matter more. Right? When her needs matter at least equal, then we're giving her the space and the timeline to recover on her timeline, not ours.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's just a really big piece. There are many nuggets in this recovery that are really challenging to swallow. Emotional abuse is really difficult to swallow, that we have emotionally abused our partners. Entitlement, another one. Controlling behaviors, another one. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And I think we need to lead with, I always try to say, maybe I am entitled. Maybe I am. Let's not let it land so hard that we can't work with it. Let's let it land with maybe I am entitled. Maybe I listen to this podcast again. Maybe I do my own research. Right? But we've got to unpack these things and then take ownership where ownership is necessary.
Yeah. I love that so much. Scott, here's how entitlement I recognize shows up. Have you heard of Hope Ray?
No,
She's somebody in recovery. Anyway,
I don't think I have.
she talks about entitlement. She talks about 4 parts of the abusive patterns and compulsive behavior with betrayal trauma. And she talks about entitlement. And she says a lot of entitlement comes in from patterns, which is family of origin, and watching how mom interacted with dad. Okay. What we learn is often what we observe, not even what we're explicitly taught, but it's what we watched happen. So when mom interacted with dad, if she watched him, if you watched her make him the center of the universe and she took a backseat to that, or if you watched her words, not mine, Hope's words, Hope's research, not mine. I'm just repeating what she shared that it really hit home with me. Or she watched mom be really derogatory towards dad, like really dad couldn't do it right, whatever it was. What did the child do? They adapted their future relationships according to what they thought should happen. And it was super problematic. And it reminded me as we're talking about this, Scott, today of if you don't think entitlement exists, just explore the word a little bit and explore what it means. But it is really about unmet needs. I remember early on in my childhood, just thinking my mom and dad's relationship, when I got into it, I didn't ask Alana. I didn't say, hey, do you agree to the way my mom and dad live their relationship? I never asked you that. I said, which parts do we want to keep? Which parts do we want? I just kind of assumed a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
I remember one time my mom, she would go everywhere with my dad, and my dad's world would cater around my mom's. I mean, my dad's world, my mom would cater to it. If he wanted to go somewhere, but we didn't want to go on vacation. And I remember there was a time that I needed to go change the oil on the car early on in our relationship. And I said, hey, Alana, do you want to go with me? I'm going to go change the oil. She's like, well, what would I do? And I'm like, I don't know. Just sit there and talk to me. You can grab a bucket and just sit on the bucket.
It's so interesting. And I'll see if this word connects with you. It's a word that didn't come up in the podcast yet. And that word is helplessness. And entitlement is often a protective function of protecting against helplessness. Does that connect with you?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Helplessness. That's a big deal. I'm gonna tie that in. Because when I asked Alana, I said, "Hey, will you come be with me? I'm gonna go change the oil." And she's like, "What would I do?" And I'm like, "Sit on the bucket." She's like, I'm not gonna go sit on a bucket and talk to you while you change the oil." I'm like, "What? Are you kidding me? You're not going to?" I didn't say this, but I'm like, that's what my mom always did for my dad. She always was there where he was at. And I thought that was love. Like when they'd just go be with each other. But and I gotta tell you, when she wasn't doing it, I was pissed.
Sure.
I silently resented her because she didn't make me the center of her universe. And I
Sure.
thought I'm not loved. So guess what I did? I went out in maladaptive ways
Yeah.
and coercive ways, would try to get her to be so I could be the center of her universe, right?
Sure.
And it was just that's came up with listening to you talk about some of this. So I felt very, I don't know if this is where you were going, Scott, but this is what I resonate with what you just said. I was really helpless to need other people to provide something for me. And like I wasn't
Absolutely.
okay unless Alana was making me the center of the universe. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
if she didn't, I wish part of me was like, I wasn't even overtly abusive about it. I was covertly abusive. I would resent her and I would be quiet. And that's what allowed me to do things in secrecy and hiding, is because I didn't like the way she was responding to me in my unhealthy ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the smallness, right? The fear of the smallness, the fear of being helpless gets protected in adulthood, usually with bigness. And so entitlement is
Mm,
bigness, right? I'm going to get my needs met. And sure, that could come out as anger. It could come out as all kinds of things.
but bigness can exist, not loud, right?
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did your bigness come out?
God, I hate it. It was really a better than piece. And I really didn't like that about myself at all. But did, I felt I was smarter, more talented, more whatever.
Than your partner?
At times. Yeah.
Mhm. I knew
Yeah.
better. You knew better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my partner knows that. Right. So if I'm never able to get to the place where I can sit down with her and look her in the eye and say, honey, there are times in my life that I treated you like I was better than.
Oh,
I have to be able to validate that experience for her. Right. Ownership is about AVR, right? We really need to validate what we've done. Our partners have experienced feeling rejected, invisible. We can try to walk through life and pretend that that never happened, or we can really validate that experience.
for sure. I really love that.
Because being able to say the words, Luke, I call it, and maybe it's another podcast, coughing up the hairball, right? These are the hard things that we need to say. I did that.
Well, we're finally in reality when we say that. Like you said,
Yeah.
she knew the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it feels so good and even so bad at the same time, acknowledge what actually was going on. Oh, that's cool. Well,
Yeah. And our own, as the betrayer, our own ego is dying to protect us. It does not want us to say that, right? It doesn't want us to say, yes, I did that.
why? Why does it
Doesn't feel good. It's not in alignment with the way we've always seen ourselves. And so it just causes some internal conflict.
That's
And
it
yet,
right
and
there.
yeah, and yet we've got to cough up the hairball. Otherwise, we stay distant from our partner's experience.
Knowing, at least whether it's true or not, knowing who I am provides a lot of stability emotionally, even if it's not real. And I think about that. Yeah, if I all of a sudden start questioning what I'm about, maybe what I thought was true wasn't. There's a lot of dysregulation. When you think about your partners, all of a sudden you start giving them truth about what was going on. They get incredibly dysregulated. They lost trust in themselves. They lose trust in other people. It's very dysregulating to not know what all of a sudden, wait, this isn't real. do that with ourselves to go some ownership over, no, I'm not who I said I was. That's going to be extremely dysregulating, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah. So just
It is.
if you're experiencing that ownership being really dysregulating, that's not bad, right? That's not bad.
No. And that's the right word, Luke. It's that this feels really uncomfortable. And it's okay. We've got to expand the view we have of ourselves from just good father, good husband, hard worker. We need to expand that to and I hurt my partner.
Yeah.
And I had an
challenging.
emotional affair.
Yeah.
And I used pornography. We've got to allow those things to be accepted about ourselves as well.
Yeah.
We got to be able to look in the mirror and see all of it.
Yep.
And accept and love all of it.
Yep. All of it. Well, Scott, thanks for joining us for this episode on entitlement. I appreciate you a lot.
Yeah.
Any closing words before we end out?
Yeah, just do yourself and your partner the service of looking at it. See if it's a part of your life. And if it is, then we do the work to unpack it.
Yeah. Don't stop. Keep fighting. All right, everybody. It was good to spend time with you. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Luke.
Hey, there are a few really cool things coming up with Choose that I just want to tell you about, because if you're anything like me, you get going through your life and then you hear about something later and you're like, I wish I would have known about this. And so we have a few of those things right now that I just want to tell you about. And some are free, some are not free, but if you are interested in any of these, very exciting stuff. One, we have a free art therapy class that's happening once a month. You just come, you sit, you bring your own supplies at home. You don't have to show it to anybody. It's just your own healing. So we have that you can sign up for. Again, totally free. Another one that we have that's really low cost that we're getting really good feedback on is Scott Blundo and Lucas Gordon have a group that is understanding his behaviors. And so it's understanding why your significant other does what they do. And one of the big concerns that I've heard with this group before people go in is this going to make me focus overly on his healing? And what you'll find is often just the opposite. The more you listen and understand, the more you're able to separate yourself from all of their choices. You have greater understanding of why they're doing what they're doing, but also greater awareness of your own work and what you need to do so you don't get wrapped into all of that chaos. That one's a really low cost option, so I'm super excited about that. I'm also in the process of starting a couples group. That is coming. Stay tuned. I don't have that released quite yet. And then the other thing, this one is not low cost, but we are taking a group to Bali, Indonesia. So if that has been on your bucket list, which it was on mine, I went last year. It was amazing. I'll be going twice next year. And one of those is we're bringing a group. So if you want to travel to Bali with safety of other women, safety of a group, being able to do once in a lifetime experiences while also getting some healing work done, come check us out. That's going to be released here. It's already on the website, but those, like, once it's full, it's full. So it is a first come, first serve. And obviously, because it is like our Costa Rica trip this year, we sold out. We did 2 whole weeks, 2 separate groups. We sold out, and then we just had to say, oh, no more. So Bali, same thing. Once it's full, but we have options for shared rooms, your own bed, but shared rooms, or you can pay more for a private room. So just know that we have, those are our big things coming up right now. We would love to have you with us for any of those that are calling to you. And just sending you love and all of your healing. And if you have ideas of other ways of like, oh, I wish there was somebody out there who is doing this, because this is what I really need in my healing, let us know, because we're always looking for ways that we can support the healing of individuals and families.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Beyond the Facade. If today's conversation resonates with you, I encourage you to explore the resources available through Choose Recovery Services and Blueprint Institute. Beyond the Facade is presented through a collaboration between these two organizations, both of which are committed to helping men and families find lasting healing, growth, and recovery. Through coaching, therapy, groups, intensives, and immersive recovery experiences, our mission is to help people move beyond survival and into lives marked by authenticity, connection, and integrity. You'll find links to both organizations along with any resources mentioned in today's episode in the show notes. Until next time, keep pursuing authenticity, keep doing the work, and keep moving beyond the facade.